Good morning once again, and welcome to the Haven Financial Group radio show. Thanks for listening. Feel free to give us a call, 612-504-8400, or online at havenfinancialgroup.com. You have all kinds of retirement tools, a calendar of events, of all the educational events, or simply just give us a call and ask us some questions, or get on our calendar to visit with us about your own situation. Again, there is no cost. We certainly will accommodate your schedules. We do a lot of evening schedules for those that are still working. So either way, give us a call. The bedrock of retirement, not diversification. However, we've already talked about it. It is consistency and stability, Kim.
Yep. Consistency. Let's talk about that first, shall we? Consistency meaning consistently putting away, consistently preparing. What does that mean in the sense of retirement? Consistency.
It means all of the above.
Right.
It means that we were consistent in our time leading up to retirement of saving. We do like to say at least 10%. I'd say the target in there is 12 to 15%. But consistency in saving, and then also consistency in how you're investing, and consistency in how you're planning. And planning, that needs to be happening, at least once a year. And having a talk with your advisor on seeing, is this risk profile still accurate for me and my goals? Does it cover all the buckets correctly for the risk, the stability, and the safety inside of my portfolio? So consistency is from all of the above that you mentioned, and it's the most important part to get to success in your retirement.
Well, I think one of the places where a lot of young people fumble is the idea that when you're in your 20s and your 30s, retirement is so far away. And Larry and I have talked about this, Kyle, many times. By the way, Kyle Thomas with us. He's a CFP there at Haven Financial Group. We've talked about this so many times. It just all of a sudden comes up on you. Or all of a sudden, life is busy and you're raising kids and you're doing all kinds of things. And suddenly you're 50 years old.
It does come up, and you get so busy with everything, and kids take up a big part of that, where your life just flashes, and then you need to be talking about retirement and how you're going to be able to fund everything in retirement. And that can be a very scary topic, and it's a big life change because people get used to saving and working, for 40 years, and then they switch to the mode of spending down what they just saved up. And so logically that it's hard to get through, and it doesn't really make sense in your head. Like, hey, I just built this up. Now I'm going to tear it down. So that's a huge change. And that's where, us as advisors can really provide value and setting up a plan to make sure that we don't just, pull the rug out from the bottom and make it all collapse. We can safely and gently remove pieces to provide those funds to you so you can live your life. And then, we still have a platform at the end of these things, and we can provide to our kids or whoever that is.
And just for the record, Cam, I'm considerably older than Kyle Thomas. He has little mouths to feed. And as you know, my wife and I have 4 daughters in med school and in 4 different colleges. So let's just say he's on the younger, 20 or 30, 40 years from retirement. And let's just say my element of time is just a lot shorter than that. We'll just leave it at that. But we know how it creeps up on us. We know how fast it goes. He probably gets sick of people saying that to him, saying, oh, time's going to fly and, all this. But we know it does. And that's why it's so important to get started young to the best of your abilities. And I know, pocketbooks these last several years have been hurting, but doing the best you can to save, it's just so very, very important.
But Larry, having said that, I know we've got people who are listening right now who are saying, well, I am 52 years old and, I'm finally starting to get my kids out of the nest and whatever. And I really haven't done the kind of job that I needed to. It's not too late. That I know they haven't had that consistency, but it's not too late, right?
Absolutely not too late. In fact, just this past week, I had what you just described, middle 50s. Kids are pretty much finally off the payroll. They have more disposable income. They have the ability to save more and put in their retirement accounts. They have that ability. And I've seen some pretty nice portfolios and pretty nice retirement plans from those that did get started earlier. It's never too late to get started. So if you're frustrated, or you're worried, or you're concerned, and you fit that mold, why not get started right now? You might be surprised of how well you can do in the time that you have remaining. But if you fail to at least get started, then that outlook doesn't look good. So again, don't bury your head in the sand. Don't feel bad. You can't make changes to what already happened. What you can change is going forward.
Absolutely. We said that this segment of the show, the bedrock of retirement, is consistency, but the other portion of this, Kyle, is stability. What do we mean by stability?
Well, stability is keeping the boat from rocking, right? So the consistency of your investments and having diversification, comprises of stocks and bonds and annuities. The stability is going to be more that safer side of things. And we want to make sure that we have a good balance within that piece, because now that provides flexibility for us. When we're in retirement and we're spending down our portfolio, we don't want to have to pull from something that's down 10% year to date or 20% year to date, or anytime there's fluctuations like that. We want to be able to have the flexibility to choose where we pull money from, and having stability in the portfolio provides the ability to pull from there, but it also provides peace of mind for us, because if something is down a lot, well, we have this chunk that is being stable. And if worst case scenario happens, this can provide for us for the X amount of years ahead. Most of the time that stability piece can account for way more than 5 years. So we have 5 years of recovery for the stock market piece to come back, that we can live on all this stuff that hasn't gone down, and it's going to fully fund our lifestyle. So having that peace of mind is super important for people to, because naturally we compartmentalize things like that, right? So it's an easy way to look at it, and especially in those pie charts. I know that's cliche for us advisors, but it really helps break things down to see what types of monies you have inside of your assets.
Sure. It sounds like to me, to achieve stability, you need diversification.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, we need that diversification, because it also helps us as advisors to rebalance too, because now, like we were talking about earlier, buying low and selling high, we can take from certain pieces and do that. So it adds value to you as a client over lifetimes.
Oftentimes how we do that at Haven Financial Group is really making sure we're looking at all investment options. One of them be discussing annuities and having people get an understanding of how they can be used for principal protection, upside potential, maybe for income. So I encourage any listeners, this is your month, May 14th and 20th. We will be teaching the Truth About Annuities class at Porter Creek here in Burnsville. Porter Creek in Burnsville, May 14th and 20th. Go to our website, sign up, The Truth About Annuities, where we're going to discuss all 4 of the annuities that are out there. I would say 70% of the folks we come across have an annuity. The problem is 70+% of them don't know which one of the 4 they have. I'll preface it by saying nobody has to have an annuity. The problem is they're misunderstood, sometimes misrepresented. Just this last week, I had a lady that was in that had a variable annuity. She had no idea she was paying 3 to 5% in fees. No idea. So again, having a good understanding, come to the class, May 14th or 20th, 6 o'clock, sign up for, again, it's a retirement dinner. We'll discuss all of them. Why might you use it for legacy, for income, for accumulation, maybe long-term care? There's a variety of reasons. People want to take the foot off the gas pedal, minimize the risk. Defense wins championships. And oftentimes we're working with folks that are in the red zone. If we're comparing it to football, they're in the red zone the last 20 years of their life, inside the 20-yard line. Again, they can be utilized. They can be utilized effectively. One doesn't have to use them, but if it makes sense in a portfolio, we want to look at all the options. And I mentioned fees. Please understand what you're paying in fees, and don't be afraid to ask the question.
Kyle, as we wrap this show up, tell me what is that you hope people, some of our listeners here, walk away with? What's one of the, when we talk about strengthening your retirement, what's one of the concepts that you hope people walk away with?
I really hope people come away from this with wanting to understand their risk profiles, how they're invested, what types of investments that they actually have, and the fees associated with those, because we need to make sure that you are properly diversified in what's best for you. What's best for you is different than your neighbor, and it's not just some kind of blanket investment lineup that you should have for everything. It should be customized for what your needs are, and you need to know where you're at and what your goals are, and your advisor needs to know what your goals are so they can help you along the way.
Kyle Thomas, a certified financial planner on the Haven Financial Group team. Thanks so much for being part of the show today.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it was great to have you. And Larry, thanks. It was fun.
Kim, great to be with you. I wanted to point out, Kyle mentioned don't rock the boats. Haven is a nautical theme. We're all boat lovers at Haven. We like the lake. We're in Minnesota. We're looking to get out on the lake here this weekend. And Kyle, that was really good. Don't rock the boat. It was very, very fitting, because if you get 1 degree or 2 degrees off course when it comes to your retirement, you might end up in the wrong place where you didn't want to end up. Great to be with you. See you next week, Kim.